I'm getting a little bit emotional because the day that they installed it, I told my husband, I was like, okay, it's after 5, Andy. I snuck right behind you, Marissa, poked my head in the window just to see what it would look like. And I never did that with any other exhibit. But I was so eager to know how this one would look. And I saw them and I said, oh, shoot. And I backed up really fast because I didn't want, I was like, oh, man. And then I walked forward and knocked on the window. They let me in and I started, I got emotional like I am right now because I couldn't imagine this is better than I had even anticipated when I was thinking of this. Like, I honestly was thinking of this exhibit like 3 years ago. Most of you know my abstract landscape paintings. And some of those are done in encaustic, some of those are done in oil painting. But anywhere I go with my family, it's sort of odd because, and this comes from Michigan. I've been here for 20 years, but this practice comes from Michigan. I sit a lot, when we're by water, when we're anywhere, even, looking for dinosaur fossils or crystals, I sit and I just pick, and I pick, and I pick, and I keep anything that I love, like that are patterns. If I hadn't become an art teacher, I taught middle school art for 10 years here up in District 20, but if I didn't teach art, it would have been science. But it was more of the aesthetics, and I hate saying that, but I always wanted to know what created the aesthetics, the bits of nature, the ribbons in earth layers, or the ribbons and obviously stones like you see here. I needed to know what caused it. So I have a couple things that I'm going to pass along. This is kind of like my brain out for you to see it because I'm a kinesthetic learner myself. I like to tap into the audio, visual, and kinesthetic learners. That's my education, teaching, talking. But these are literally my plans. This sketch started before this years ago. So I remember going to an artist talk and he lent us all of his sketches. And I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm part of this process, this learning process. And I loved that. So I try to instill that just so you appreciate the journey to this, along with the end product, I could say. So these are my literal sketches and kind of plans. I found this book with my dear friend Megan. I was grabbing coffee with her one day and saw this when I was kind of roaming around Poor Riches, and I was like, how did I not know of this book? So if you would like, I just put some little sticky notes on and highlighted some really cool quotations that you might appreciate that are kind of fun to think about with this exhibit. With that being said, the nice thing about having an encaustic artist in the next room and then me here, you kind of already learned from Michelle, whose work blows my app. I have so many questions, but I'm like, that's the mystery part of it. I almost don't want to know. I want to keep it like, it's kind of like the earth. Like some things are just left unsaid. But you did kind of get a hint on how encaustic works with her. I, again, am such a visual learner. I brought Damar resin in with me. So, most of people know what beeswax is. And Michelle had spoken of griddle. I use the same thing. So I have melted beeswax and this, which is Damar resin. I use 2.5 ounces of Damar resin to my 16-ounce beeswax. And that's where you get encaustic medium. It's so ridiculous. Some things you just don't, habits you don't break, I swear. But this is encaustic, and I brushed it on, melted right from my griddle, and this is fused here on this layer. And you're going to notice the difference, the texture. This one's fused, meaning I heated it with a torch, and I melted the layers in, just like Michelle had spoken of next door. Each layer is melted into the last, okay? So how cool, and when I was introduced to encaustic was in 2018. I had been painting my whole life. I lost my dad in 2017, and my dad was like my adventure buddy. He was like, I'm giving everything to you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yep, pass it wherever. Here, I'll put this little guy right there. But in the Damar resin, by the way, when that comes around, you can find like little bits of bugs, sometimes little pieces of wood chips in it. And it's just cool. It's that organic matter that I love so much in my artwork. But anyway, sorry, going back to 2018, I took an encaustic class. And it was a professional development day for teachers to further their career and their practice. And during this professional development class, I was like, oh my gosh, I was excited enough to find an encaustic one class for one, but then I was asking so many questions. I was that student, but I was like, teachers are the worst students, because I was at the table and they were I'm like, shh, shh. Like my eyes were glued and my ears were wide open, listening to I was like hooked instantly with this material, because it already lends itself to this real earthy connection that so many other materials don't do. A lot of them do, but this is another level, and I'm sure Michelle feels the same way. When I was introduced to this material, I needed a grounding. I was losing my mind because I lost my only parent, pretty much. I was really, really having a tough time. But man, when I started using this and creating with it and learning, I did not stop. I mean, my husband's like, you never just dip a toe in, do you? I'm like, no, deep end all the time. But I went and bought everything that weekend, and really submerged myself into it. And wow, I feel so lucky to be able to blend my passion for the outdoors with this material. And there's a lot of my science geekiness you'll start to see within some of my exhibits. Again, the first sketch, you're gonna see kind of like the composition that I was thinking and brainstorming. That was probably 2 years ago that I made that. And I was like, I don't know if I can do it. And even my last exhibit with Abby and Gundy, I was thinking of something like this. And that ended up going to the back burner. I was like, maybe another time. But I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna pull this off. That's a lot of woodworking. I have a friend here who is an amazing woodworker, and he's a huge inspiration. Robert Lococo, sorry, I didn't mean to call you out. But I picked his brain. I, asked him questions way back when I was first starting to think about it, and I asked, a lot of other people who do woodworking. I picked their brain, and I love laborious work anyway. So all of these are hand cut. I first cut the main basic shape with a circular saw, and then after that, it was really fun. Well, I clamped them together. There's 2 pieces of the mixed wood plywood, and I clamped them together, cut the main basic shape, and then I did the abstract drawing to whatever shape I'd like, and then I used a jigsaw on a big piece of foam. And it was amazing. Like every day, listen to a podcast, Mel Robbins, and then just cut. And it was so meditative. So I love that laborious process. Cut all of them. And I cut 50. And I was like, 50 is, you guys, if you could have saw how short a pile of 50, I'm like, this will not do. When I had 50. So then I did increase it to 100. And I was like, this is lame. I cannot have this. Went to 150, and then I just kept going, probably too, because once I start something, I need to make it, like, it needs to be, I guess I have high expectations for myself, but I wanted to have all the wood cut, all the wood sanded. Sanding was fun, oh my God. But all the wood sanded before I started the artwork, because I wanted to be in these, I am so stubborn with myself. I wanted to have this giant pile of panels where I could go up and say, that's the one for today. And I tell my husband, I'm like, Andy, this project is so perfect for me, because my ADHD brain, my one stone from the day before does not have to look like the one for the next day. And I swear it was so therapeutic, especially for this last year and a half. It was so therapeutic for me to really dig in and just do what I wanted at that moment. Nothing is dictating what color to use, what shape to use. I just get to play, because I am one of those people who, if someone tells me what to do, or gets like, Shannon, use this color, I'm like, no, I will use the opposite. And maybe that's why I was such a crazy kid. I don't know. And I used to tell my students, I'm not going to, and they would be like, Mrs. Mello, what color I don't know. What color do you think you should use? And they used to freak out. Because middle school is, they're expecting elementary. They get every single thing the same. Everyone does the same thing because you need to at that age. They're crazy. But the middle schoolers, all of a sudden, I'm like, you got to figure this out. What are you going to choose? And I carry that with myself where I'm like, I'm going to do this right now because I can. I'm going to do this right now. So I cannot tell you enough how much fun this damn exhibit was. It was so fun. And one of my goals for you as an observer was I really hope that even if it's on a morning walk, if it's on a vacation, if you need to get out of the house because the house is crazy, or if you want to go down the street at night to see the bats flying around, I don't know. I'm just thinking of weird things that we do. But look, like maybe it stops you to look at these crazy patterns that we have all around us that we didn't even know were there, and what caused that pattern? And that book is, it's bringing me on a crazy level. If you guys see some of the quotes that I highlighted in there, I'm like, this is just madness. Like, there's an Ammonite that we hike next to in the Garden of the Gods, and every time we visit it, we look from a distance. I don't let my kids touch the rock, but I'm like, this is insane. Like, how old these, not these, but you know what I mean, stones and rocks, like, and the stories that they tell, and everything is underfoot. And oh my gosh, that's like a beer and campfire story. Like, I could sit there and talk for hours about just that, just like what is everything. So I hope you enjoy these pieces. They were so vastly different because I was feeling vastly different with each one. I'm a creature of habit, though. I, of course, used the same colors. You probably can see that these colors are similar to my other paintings, but I did not want to forget. I'm usually looking at the big sky, big picture. I didn't want to forget these little things that, holy cow, have a little atmosphere all in themselves. We had some pretty cool rocks up in Lake Huron. When I went to Lakeport, I think is what it's called. It's way up here in the thumb area, but I went there before I moved here back in 2006. And I'll never forget, like, gosh, I wish so badly that I just took some more rocks with me just to remember that area, because there's some crazy, if there's other Michiganders, I know there's, yes. Like, how much do you love Petoskey? I was just going to say that. Yeah, like Petoskey stones. And there's so much coral in Michigan, like coral rock, like everywhere. And it just became like, that's coral. And we would say that's just coral because there's so much of it. And it's just weird to think about, like, and Colorado, like, we're ocean. It's weird. Like the Ammonite. It blows my mind every time. I got my husband hooked on it too. He's I told him he can never come to my artist talks because I get so dang nervous, and he's a theater teacher, and he could like speak in front of the I almost said Silverdome. That's in Detroit. But he could speak in front of a huge crowd and feel totally, I'm like, you can never come. I told him, nope. So he's with the kids at a theater performance. But no, this is a very cool opportunity to blend two of my loves, art and geology. If I didn't become, in my undergrad, if I didn't become a business major, I would have done geology in a heartbeat. And I'm so proud. I'm like, heck yeah, girl, you go get that one. We did it at Andy's musical. Yeah.
So what do you do?
They're at the base. I have a house plant problem too. It's okay. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. No, I put them in the base of my house plants and outside under our big pine tree. We have a clamshell. Like, you could full on see the hinge of the clamshell as big as my son's head that we found at Bear Creek Park. And I keep that out there under the pine tree. It's wild. I know. Like, how in the world? It's so bizarre. So, but yeah, any other questions? Go for it.
The other ones can't hear your answer to this. Do you have any favorites or like a favorite?
Totally.
Or a favorite
I have zero shame admitting favorites. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing as an artist. I do. But and this is the weird thing, and I know other artists can totally relate. Like, usually my favorites are not favorites of most people, and that's okay. I think that's actually kind of cool. I'm sorry, Abby. But this one, this little guy here, I have a few, this guy, because it has hints of, I like hiding little embellishments that has hints of gold on the very edge of the wax. And then these two little, there's some here and there.
How did you get like the gold leaf and like the circle and in perfect little areas? How did you do that?
So I used a circle template and the gold leaf and used a semi-dull scribe and pressed it on and then fused it. Yeah. Encaustic is really cool in a sense that, like, you can, bless you can, like, it's pretty friendly with a ton of different materials. It's wild. But it almost acts as its own adhesive when it's warmish. Like, it's pretty cool. So. Oh, sorry, Bonnie. Go ahead, Deidre.
I was just wondering how many
I remember the day I counted them, I was like, 200. And then I looked and I was like, 203. I ended up with 203. 203. I mean, I went until the pile looked good to my satisfaction. I was like, okay, that's good.
How are they 2 inches deep?
Inch and a half. Bonnie, what were you going to say? I'm sorry.
Oh, you tape the edges? Or?
Oh, yeah. So once I cut them, once they're all cut and sanded, I taped every edge off and used a loop tool. This is why I can't wrap my head around Michelle's amazing work over there. I'm like, how? But I scraped the excess wax off the edges and then, reuse it, add it to my pot. So.
Did you know that if you stack all of these on top of each other, they're 25 feet tall?
I love that. You just did that. You are a geek. And I am too, so that makes me even happier. What's that? Oh, I know. But isn't it cool too, like the vast difference that you can do in caustic? Like, mind blown, right? Between both rooms. It's wild. But put them in a very large pile. And I did orient them, so I was so dead set on making them so that they were flush to the wall. I used a jig for when I drilled them. I did not want to put hardware on the back. So what I would do is I would orient them the way that I wanted them, or that I thought they would go, drill the hole, and then they would go in the stack, they would go. So it was really fun to open up the ones that I had done first. Like, oh, I remember you. Like, it was really cute. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun to do that. So.
Just to cause a little bit of trouble, what grade did you give them?
Oh my God, I was a blubbering mess. A, A plus. Oh, yeah.
Forgive me if you already mentioned.
Oh, no worries.
From start to finish, how much time do you think that you put into this show?
Year and a half solid. Year and a half. But I did it all day long. And every day. And my husband's a teacher. So, and I usually pick up because he goes early. He teaches high school. So he's earlier, and then he stays because he's a theater teacher. So he stays there really late. So I go and get the kids. I bring the kids to school, drop them off, go home, saw. Head to toe.
Head to toe, sawdust. And she came over to my house one day and went, oh, I know what you've been doing.
It's bad.
She was just sawdust everywhere.
It's bad. But I get in these zones where I cannot, I need to get it all done. I want them all done so I can go and pick whatever pieces I want to do the artwork on later. Yeah. So, but yeah, a year and a half solid. Any other questions? Go for it.
Two-part question. But only the second part. And the second one is, what do you want us to know about the show that we haven't asked yet?
Because of you asking Michelle that, I made sure that I wanted to really emphasize the fact that I hope you guys leave.
That's rude.
And notice, I hope you leave and notice these patterns like in stones, in earth. Yeah. Yeah, in a different way. So I wanted to make sure I addressed that too. So thanks for being here, everyone. Thank you.